with Access Arts Live, here to invite you to follow along with me as I go over this week's organ live stream action for the week of February 23rd to March 2nd in the year 2026. We have a lovely series of 8 different live streams for you. This week, we have veteran organist and up-and-coming young organist. We've got collaborative organist in Tomsk, Siberia, and in Moscow. We've got a very French organist playing very French music in Paris. What else would you expect? And I can't wait to get to all of it and tell you all about it. Before I go any further, if you love this kind of music, do yourself a favor, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on Facebook or YouTube especially, but we're also on X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn, where we are wherever you are, because we want to make it easy for you to just, while you're doing your daily net surfing, just wander over to Access Arts Live and on a Tuesday afternoon and say, hey, what's live streaming today that I can enjoy? And it's free of charge to subscribe to us. So having said that, let me then get on to the first of this week's live streams, which will come to you tomorrow. Tuesday, February 7th, wait, that's February 24th, St. James Cathedral, Toronto, live streams veteran organist Eric Tyson, the long-standing accompanist of the Clarks of Old Sarum Singers and assistant organist at All Saints Clifton in Bristol in the United Kingdom. That's right, it's St. James Cathedral in Toronto, but they have brought in a British organist for this recital. Before he was with All Saints Clifton in Bristol, he was with he was first with St. John's Leytonstone in East London, and then moved to Bristol. This was years ago, back in the 90s, to be the assistant organist at St. Mary's Wotton under Edge. This is all very British. And he's played in various cathedrals around in the UK, in Bristol, Wells, Canterbury, St. Paul's, Westminster Abbey, done recitals in the UK, the US, Slovakia, the Netherlands, and Australia. We don't know what he's going to be playing. They never tell us in advance at St. James Cathedral. We give you the link. We give you the times, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast in the US, and 7 o'clock in the evening here in Europe. It's an 87 rank, 67 speaking stop, 4 manual and 6 division organ with 5,101 pipes, which I learned today is the number of pipes that we have at the American Cathedral here in Paris. I did not know that before. So let us then move on to another composer where I may be able to tell you actually what the composer is playing. And this is one of our younger up-and-coming composers is next in line, Tingshuo Yang. We have a couple. We have a British Asian organist. This guy here, Tingshuo Yang, and then there's an Asian American coming up later in the week. So Wednesday, February 25th, Queen's College, Oxford, live streams Tingshuo Yang, the organ scholar at St. John's College, Cambridge, to play preludes and fugues by Bach and works by Langley, Jehan Alain, and Thomas Altwood Walmesley, whom I do not know. That'll be at 2:10 in the afternoon, European time, 8:10 in the morning on the East Coast, way too early in the morning on the West Coast, but a little past midnight down under in Australia, or a little earlier in the evening if you're on the West Coast in Perth. Tingshuo Yang is originally from China. That's where he was born. He's 22 years old. He's a pianist, an organist, and a composer. Studied in the junior department of the Royal College of Music in the mid-teens, then went to the Luxembourg Conservatoire from 2017 to 2021. Then he got a music scholarship to Eton College. And since 2023, he's been organ scholar at St. John's at Cambridge, where he's studying now for a BA in music. and yet they're having him up at Queen's College in Oxford in a very collegial move. He's already 6-7 years ago, he already had made a solo piano debut with the Luxembourg Philharmonic. From the conservatory there in 221, he's already got a performance diploma within the piano. He's already recorded Bach's Klavierübung Part 1 Partitas on the Luxembourg Classics in June 2024. It was chosen as Album of the Week on Radio 100,7. He became a fellow of the Royal College of Organists this past year, and we're told that his playing is regularly broadcast on BBC Radio 3 and 4. And he's also a composer who's won some composition competition. Let me tell you what he's going to play. He's going to start out with Bach's Prelude and Fugue in G major, BWV 541, and he'll finish with Bach's Prelude and Fugue in G minor, BWV 535. So he's being discerning, or playing those two pieces in the same piece. During the concert, they'll also play a couple of other pieces by Bach. Dies sind die Zehn Heiligen Gebot, BWV 678, and Jesus Christus, unser Heiland, BWV 688, and Mit Fried und Freud ich fahr dahin, BWV 616. Also, Jean Langlaise, celui qui a des oreilles qui l'écoute, he who has ears, who listens, from the 5 meditations on the apocalypse, 5 méditations sur l'Apocalypse. Then Thomas Atwood Walmesley's Larghetto. He's a mid-19th century Brit who did not live a long time, 1814 to 1856. That's only till about 40. He lived a little longer than the other composer, Jehan Alain. He's playing Jehan Alain's introduction and variations from the suite JA 69, and that JA, that means Jehan Alain, who also died young. He was only 28. It was 1939. He was already building a reputation as a composer, as an organist, and he was in the military, and he's on a motorcycle that goes around a corner, and the Germans, that was it. Anyway, that's he'll be playing a Frobenius organ at that college, which they're very proud of. We'll give you the link so you can look up all the reasons why they are proud of it. And let us move on then to the next organist we have for you this week, which is another one of our veteran organists, and another one of these cases where I'm not going to be able to tell you what he's playing, but I can tell you who he is. Temple Church London's weekly organ recital live streams their music director, Charles Andrews, at the Temple Church, and also he's professor and coordinator of organs at the Royal College of Music. There's a long-standing collaboration between those two institutions. This will be at 2:15 in the afternoon, European time, 8:15 in the morning on the East Coast, and a little after midnight down under in Australia. We don't know what he's playing, but we know we don't know what music he's playing, but we know the organ is a Harrison and Harrison Limited organ, originally built for a ballroom in Scotland in the 1920s. Marcel Dupré himself came up from Paris to inaugurate the thing, and in the mid-1950s, they shipped it down to London, where it was installed at the Temple Church London. And then about 10, 15 years ago, Harrison and Harrison took it back to their workshop in Durham and completely renovated it. So those are your choices. Wednesday, you have a choice between the up-and-coming guy who's a pianist and a composer and an organist and an organ scholar, playing Bach and Langlais and Jehan Alain and that sort of thing, or Charles Andrews, a very veteran professor, very established, don't know what he's playing. Then we move on to Saturday. And one of my favorite organists is playing on Saturday. So I'm happy to tell you about her. Saturday, February 28th, Catholic Cathedral resident organist Anna Vetlugina brings in the young baritone Anton Grinevich to play and sing music by Bach, Handel, Schubert, Franck, and Dvorak, and two of Vetlugina's own compositions. Live stream free of charge by Artbena as what they call a golden collection of organ and vocal music. That'll be at 6 in the evening European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast. It's Lenten music. It's the Catholic Cathedral, and they take Lent very seriously. I give you some examples of some of the pieces, although it's an awful lot of different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 15 different pieces. The two pieces they're playing by Anna Vetlugina are "Do Not Bring Me Vain Gifts" from the book of Isaiah, and "Thus Said the Lord to These Bones" from the book of Ezekiel. She's a composer as well as an organist, and I find her compositions interesting. She'll also play a Bach choral prelude, Aus der Tiefe rufe ich, BWV 745 to begin, and later on she'll play Bach's Ich ruf zu dir, Herr Jesu Christ, BWV 639. Then there'll be pieces by Handel, Digner, John Dowland's Galliard, Alessandro Stradella, Pieta Signore, Francesco Durante, Vergine Tutto Amor, Cesar Franck's Panis Angelicus, of course, you could expect that. Panis Angelicus, that one. And some Schubert Ave Maria. They'll wind it up with Boelmann's Prayer to the Virgin, followed by a toccata from the Gothic Suite. She's a fine organist and a very interesting composer, if you ask me. We then move on to Sunday with another Thomas Ospital, who's becoming an international concert organist. Sunday, March 1st, St. Eustache Church live streams resident and globetrotting organist Thomas Ospital playing Maurice Duruflé's Suite Opus 5. That'll be at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the usual time there in the heart of Paris, European time, 11 in the morning on the East Coast and 8 in the morning on the West Coast. Maurice Duruflé's Suite Opus 5 was, he dedicated this to his composition teacher, who was Paul Dukas. And back in 1933, if you don't know who Paul Dukas is, he's the one who wrote The Sorcerer's Apprentice. But I doubt that the Suite Opus 5 is going to sound anything like that. As for Thomas Ospital, he has started building a real concert career, playing with the Cologne Philharmonic back in December with Marie Jacot, the conductor. And then just a few weeks ago, he played Louis Viern's Third Symphony in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Philharmonic. And then yesterday, he played it here in Paris at St. Eustache Church at their Sunday live stream. So he's a professor of organ interpretation alongside Olivier Latry at the Paris Conservatory, and a professor of harmony at the CNSM-DP, which is a long name for another one of those Paris conservatories. Anyway, he's the top organist. It will be a lovely concert, I assure you. I have another live stream to tell you about on Sunday. And this is our more Asian American organist. In fact, I have two more to tell you about on Sunday. So Sunday's a big day. You can probably watch organ live streams all day long. So I'm happy to see that the Music at the Red Doors Pipes Alive series is continuing with the live stream of Jennifer Hsiao, organist and graduate of several Ivy League universities, and the newly appointed organist at Old Wet Church in Boston, Massachusetts. That's at noon on the East Coast, 9:30 in the morning on the West Coast, 6:30 in the evening in Europe. So it'll be just after the live stream coming from St. Eustache Church, which is at 5 o'clock in the evening in Europe. Jennifer Hsiao is so Ivy League. She began her organ studies at Princeton University, continued them at the Yale School of Music. She's now at Harvard University, where she's continuing to study still. She's also an award-winning pianist and violinist, and she's been a concert master with university and youth orchestras. She's got degrees in things like chemistry. She's studying, she's working on a PhD in biological sciences now at Harvard. But along the way, she's also gotten certificates in music performance from Princeton, a master's of music performance on the violin from the Yale School of Music, and now while she's a PhD student at Harvard, she's also concert master of the Dudley Orchestra there. So the organ she's playing is an Austin pipe organ. And there's a long history of the organs at that church. We give you the link so you can read up on it. I cannot give you all that detail now, but I can tell you that in 1949, Austin Organs came in and built a completely new instrument. And it is basically an Austin organ, a renovated Austin organ on a couple of occasions that she'll be playing now. What she's playing, they haven't told us. A little later in the day, there's another live stream coming out of the U.S. Coming from the West Coast. Sunday, March 1st, Grace Cathedral, San Francisco, welcomes and live streams James Wetzel, who's the director of music and organist of the parish of St. Vincent Ferrer and St. Catherine of Siena on Manhattan's Upper East Side. Yes. Playing works by Ernest Macmillan, Ralph Vaughan Williams, Herbert Howells, Percy Whitlock, Alec Rowley, and Harold Dark on the 7,466 pipe Aeolian Skinner organ. That makes that organ almost as many pipes as the one at St. Eustache Church in Paris, which has 7,952. Anyway, that'll be at 3 o'clock p.m. on the West Coast, making it 6 o'clock in the evening on the East Coast, making it midnight here in Europe, and 10 o'clock Monday morning down under in Australia. James D. Wetzel also directs the professional chorale, the Schola Cantorum, in New York. Previously, he was at a Midtown church in New York, the Church of St. Agnes, and before that, an organ scholar at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, a real New Yorker, although he's originally born in Pittsburgh. Former lecturer at Hunter College, dean of the New York City chapter of the American Guild of Organists. He'll be playing pieces like Macmillan's Cortège Académique, Vaughan Williams's Rose et Madre from the Three Preludes, a couple of psalm preludes by Herbert Howells, notably from his Opus 32, Set 1, Number 2, but the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Then Shanti, Salix, and Toccata from Plymouth Suite by Percy Whitlock, Alec Rowley's Benedictus, and finishing up with Harold Dark's Choral Fantasia on Darwell's 148th, Ye Holy Angels Bright. And I'm wondering if that's the Holy Angels Bright, bump, bump, but I don't know. I didn't have time to look it up. Anyway, we give you the link also where you can look up that organ, which, though it's an Aeolian Skinner, was actually designed by an Englishman whose name was G. Donald Harrison. So it's, well, I've given you the number. It was originally had 6,077 pipes, but they kept renovating it and adding more pipes to it. And finally, we have one more live stream to tell you about. It should be a lovely, with the Grace Cathedral acoustics and all that, it should be a lovely recital with James Wetzel. And we come to the last of this week's, which is another of my favorites. He's here all the time. Monday, March 2nd, Tomsk Philharmonic's resident organist Dmitry Ushakov and flautist Evgeny Nekrasov perform a program called Talk to the Flute, playing sonatas for flute and organ by G.I.F. Biber and others, and what is billed as the only interactive, exclusively online organ recital series in the world. We don't know specifically what sonatas they're playing other than one by Biber. This will be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon European time, 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, and 7 o'clock in the evening in Siberia, KRAT time. This is a format in which he actually takes requests sometimes sent in by members of his audience, and in between pieces, you can count on Dmitry Ushakov, if your Russian is up to it, to give you lovely explanations of why he selected which pieces he did and what they're about and what's interesting about them musically. Dmitry Ushakov. So, folks, that is what we have for you this week in terms of live streams of the performing of organ recitals. My apologies for the misnaming of Anna Vetlugina as Olga Vetlugina in the red box that you see to my right. Somebody got the name wrong when they transcribed it this time. But Anna, I know that your name is Anna, and I'm a fan. So I know you'll do another great recital. With that, I hope that someone or any of these live streams uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. And remember, if you like this kind of music, do yourself a favor and follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn. I'll be back tomorrow with the roundup of chamber music concerts going on this week, and I'm sure we will have a full plate of those for you as well. And on Wednesday, I'll be back again with the roundup of orchestral works and operatic works coming up this week. Ciao for now.